Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, King Dio, and the upcoming Lauren Frey. Please check out my website, BlackCatBooks.org, for more information on that. And today we are looking at yet another Arlo video. And when I say yet another, I mean this is the first time I've ever actually done a review of an Arlo video, because a lot of times I just kind of tune him out. I don't pay attention to him, or I just kind of express my opinions on live streams. I've never really addressed Arlo in this fashion before, and the reason for that is because he is irrelevant. Like all Nintendo YouTubers, he does nothing to influence opinions. He doesn't really particularly like any major Nintendo IP outside of Pikmin and Paper Mario. He's not charismatic. He's not funny. He's basically only relevant because of the Paper Mario video he made years and years ago before Color Splash came out. And ever since then, he's been walking that back, trying to say that like he likes the new Paper Marios now or something because of his partnership with Nintendo. But I've seen a lot of really terrible hot takes coming from Arlo over the past couple of years, and I don't normally have a chance to really talk about them. I don't really often have the chance to respond because I've seen him delete videos before. I've seen him like damage control. I've seen him kind of make up excuses for himself. But even just looking at this video title should tell you just how out of touch this boomer actually is. Like, this guy is the stereotypical Nintendo YouTuber. How can games be turn-based? Which is really weird, considering he's such a big fan of Paper Mario and is a big advocate for the return of the classic style of gameplay. But let's have a look and see what Arlo has to say.
Pokemon Legends Arceus is nearly upon us now.
Is it muted?
But if you're watching...
Why is it muted? I see.
This after the game is already out. The video is still relevant, so please don't go. Please don't go.
Please, I need that sweet engagement.
Oh no!
Pokemon Legends Arceus come the first major changes to Pokemon's combat system since the earliest games in the series.
Wrong. They've made numerous changes to the way Pokemon plays over the years, from introducing like Gender to introducing additional types to introducing breeding. Like, this idea that Pokemon hasn't changed or evolved since the original games is something only a complete pleb would try and push as any kind of valid criticism of the franchise. It's not true. It never was true, never will be true. Pokemon constantly innovates, comes up with new things. There's nothing surprising about the direction that Legends Arceus has taken.
Excited for the game. Ever since I played Sword and Shield and realized that next to nothing had changed in all the years since I'd played a new Pokemon game, I've been complaining quite loudly about how the series could be so much more. Other turn-based RPGs have proven that the genre can offer a whole lot.
Wait, what? What the fuck? Mother 3, one of the most overrated Nintendo RPGs in existence. Monster Hunter Stories, so shit I didn't even finish the first one, let alone the second. Undertale, one of the worst games of all time. Like, Bravely Default, a game that's only relevant because Square Enix returned to the turn-based combat system that Final Fantasy fans have demanded for them. What is this list? What is this nonsense? Like, I don't understand what he's trying to say here. Is he trying to say that Bowser's Inside Story innovated more than Superstar Saga? They're pretty similar. They have the similar character models. They were still using the sprite-based models back then.
On them changes. Even beyond that, though, the reveal of Legends Arceus breathed new life into an old debate. Early on, no one was completely sure if the game would actually feature turn-based battles. One rumor in particular claimed that the series was changing to real-time combat.
Never trust the rumors. I'm pretty sure that was an Emily Rogers rumor. Never listen to Emily Rogers.
End up being strictly true, as we now know that Legends Arceus does indeed feature turn-based combat in addition to action sequences where the player must try to catch a Pokemon while avoiding its attacks. But it was still a very interesting idea, and ever since that initial reveal, I've spent a lot of time wondering what a Pokemon game without turn-based combat might look like. I have to wonder if that's even an idea worth exploring for the series. Should Pokemon stick with turn-based combat and just allow it to evolve and become more strategic? Or should it one day cast off the inherent limitations of turns and go full-on...
Yep. It's always the same thing with these people. Like, oh man, turn-based combat, it's archaic, it's limited, it's not the same as an open-world action RPG like Elden Ring, but turn-based combat is appealing for a reason. It involves more strategy, it involves more consideration, it involves more team building. It's a better format for the RPG genre. I'm not joking when I say turn-based RPGs like Chrono Trigger, like Final Fantasy VI, like Bad Kaitos Origins are way better than shit like Skyrim, like The Witcher 3, and Dark Souls. Like, there's nothing wrong with turn-based combat. And I don't understand why there's this autistic obsession with trying to pretend there is among this specific group of people, of YouTubers. People like Arlo. I've seen this a lot over the past couple of years, and it is getting very old.
Time action. Well, I've pondered on this to myself for long enough, and now the time has come for me to ponder on it out loud. Before we get started, though, keep in mind that even though this video poses a question, it does not necessarily answer that question. Because obviously, it's impossible to definitively answer that question. Every series and gameplay style is different, and every person's tastes are different, so there's no single best way to go about designing a game. I can't really tell you whether or not Pokemon should be turn-based forever. This is a topic that's still absolutely worth discussing, though, so please, join me as I ponder this question out loud into my microphone. And
why is this video so padded? Like, why isn't he getting to the point? It's just
camera. When you're dealing with a game or series with a well-established style of gameplay, the very idea of change is a very tricky thing. This is a concept I've spoken about quite a lot, and that I don't feel Nintendo gets right in every case. Video games, naturally, should change to at least some degree between titles. That's simply what it means to create a sequel. You can't sell the literal exact same game again and again.
What?
Insert joke making fun of series of your choice.
Nope. These are not the same fucking games. Star Fox Zero is not the same fucking game as the original Star Fox. I could rant all day about this alone, but that's also the case with New Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros, I think, is one of the most underappreciated Nintendo IPs of the past decade. Of the mid-2000s. I loved New Super Mario Bros. DS when it first came out. Loved it. And then, like, the sequels, other than 2, which is kind of disappointing, the sequels did nothing but build up on that and introduce cool new features like a challenge mode and multiplayer. Full multiplayer. And DLC, like the Super Luigi U. That's great stuff. Some of the most fun I've ever had. Some of the most fun I had in the new 10s was playing New Super Mario Bros. U day one on the Wii U. It was fantastic. And why are you trying to say these games are bad?
Choice here. You've got to add something to the experience to make it feel new and keep the audience engaged. And in many cases, adding is the primary way of making a good sequel. Taking the formula that people already liked and adding more stuff to it. Creating new weapons and mechanics, giving players new things to do, etc. But it's not always practical or even feasible to only add. especially when it comes to very old series. In many cases, there comes a time when you need to do more than just add. You don't want your series to become a massive, bloated, confused mess. That's why you've also got to consider change, making some aspect or aspects of a game or series different from how they were before. Sometimes even replacing ideas entirely. But then we come to the classic conundrum that I'm always talking about. How do you know what kind of change will be successful? How much can you change before the experience is too different? When is a developer refreshing a formula and giving it new life? And when are they leaving something good behind? And not to mention a lot of fans in the process. One of Nintendo's biggest strengths and weaknesses is their obsession with the concept of newness. Even now, with the Switch largely deviating from their blue ocean philosophy to deliver a more straightforward mainstream gaming experience, they still can't let...
How is Switch deviating from the blue ocean strategy? There's nothing about Switch that's just complete nonsense.
go of that word, new. Where most other companies just want to make something
Yeah,
good.
they have fucking Labo. How exactly is that not deviating from? How exactly is that not blue ocean?
People enjoy. Nintendo executives are always going on and on about how they want to make something new. This is, of course, a double-edged sword that probably ends up cutting them just as often as it aids them.
No, it doesn't. Like, the weird bitching about Nintendo's new products is nothing but salty fanboys who can't handle the fact that things aren't as they remember them. Like, there's nothing more to it than that. There's nothing wrong with the products they put out. And I don't know why Arlo is talking about this now.
That sells 1 trillion units. Sometimes we get a fresh new take on an old series that completely reinvigorates interest in it. And other times we get gimmicks that increase prices and drive developers away. Or we get games that create nothing but anger and frustration among fans who feel they're being betrayed. Even after all these years and so many controversies, Nintendo still haven't quite learned their lesson that new isn't always good. This might sound pretty tangential so far, but stay with me. And yes, it was perhaps inevitable that I would bring up Paper Mario in this discussion of changing
Oh no, of course he does.
Style. The Paper Mario series had 2 games that used a similar style, and since then it's been struggling to figure out its own identity. What is Paper Mario? Are these RPGs? Are they platformers? Are they puzzle games? Is having flat characters the only thing that makes a Paper Mario game a Paper Mario game? Nintendo doesn't seem to know, and despite plenty of people being fine with the direction the series has gone, it's still a very big source of frustration for many, many people. It's a series that just can't stop changing drastically between every title. In these cases, there are those who will always accuse serial complainers, such as myself, of simply not liking something for being new or different.
Oh no, is he calling me out? Is he calling me out?
Absurd, because it's very much possible for a new idea to simply be a bad one. And it's also very disappointing when something new feels like it's completely replacing something that was much better. In the case of Paper Mario especially, adding something new that a lot of people don't like, and also just straight up taking away 10 other old things they used to enjoy is not a recipe for success. I promise this is related. I promise we're wrapping back around here.
Yeah, I was about to say, what does this have to do with Paper
Mario is an extreme case of change that's much easier for me to take a firm side on. But with many other series, this whole subject is much trickier. Deciding exactly how much new to introduce, how much old to keep, and how much old to change comes down to the individual developer, sometimes even the individual producer or director. And there is no single blanket answer to any of these conundrums. Every series is different. Every individual element with the potential to be changed is different. And of course, every fan base is different. Breath of the Wild is a great game to look at here. It represents a very big shakeup in the Zelda formula.
What does this have to do with Pokemon?
The tightly designed overworld has been replaced by a wide-open sandbox. The item-based progression has been replaced by an entirely non-linear structure. The standard dungeons the series usually features have been largely replaced by lots of mini-dungeons, which themselves have replaced standard puzzles with physics-based challenges. Breath of the Wild is a very, very different game from its predecessors. For people like me, it was a breath of fresh air, just the shake-up the series needed, a bold new frontier for Zelda. But there are plenty of people who just felt that it was too different. The game removed too
Those
much of
people,
what these people liked.
those people are coping with the fact that Zelda BTFO, their favorite fantasy open world game with a single entry. Never again will people try to say that Morrowind is better than Zelda, or that Dark Souls is one of the best action games ever made. It just isn't true because Breath of the Wild exists.
About the series and replaced it with concepts they just didn't like as much. To them, that core Zelda identity has been altered too much. It's not even Zelda anymore. Trust me, I sympathize with these people. I would never in a million years accuse them of just not liking.
I remember growing up, going on like gaming message boards for the first time and seeing people like try to tell me that like Ocarina of Time like ruined Zelda, that it was the storyline was so much better before they ruined it with the N64 games. And now look, like it's a beloved classic. Like basically no one can get away with shitting on Ocarina of Time. Like if you're letting radical if you're making changes to a video game franchise affect your opinion of it, you're too nostalgic and too wrapped in your ways. Because I am very openly I very openly tell people that like Breath of the Wild does not have the best dungeons. I think Skyward Sword did a way better job with like dungeon design and story and things like that. I really like Skyward Sword. I'm a big fan of that game, but I also say that Breath of the Wild like made a lot of really cool, innovative changes, not just to Zelda, but to the open world franchise as a whole. I think the people who complain about these things don't really have a valid opinion. Like they don't. Like you should not take them seriously.
Making the game for being different. That idea is absurd. Because again, how much can you change an experience before it's just too different from the experience it's supposed to be building upon? How do you refresh a formula in a way that pleases people without leaving half of them behind? Where do you find the balance between old and new? Does that balance even exist? If the majority of fans dislike certain changes, does that make those changes objectively bad ones? Or am I wrong for thinking Paper Mario changed too much, but Breath of the Wild's changes were justified? Or was that okay because of the sales numbers? Is it more about the overall number of satisfied people rather than the ratio of satisfied people to unsatisfied people? It's a mess. It's just too much to consider. To bring things back to Pokemon, though, this is the conundrum the series is now facing. Well, in my eyes at least, it's very much possible that the people making Pokemon have absolutely, positively no intention of ever deviating completely from turn-based combat. For the sake of discussion, though, to me, the series is kind of at a crossroads. Should it simply continue to develop the turn-based formula with new ideas? Or could there be a future where Pokemon is no longer turn-based at all? Would changing the combat just be too much change and leave too many people behind? Or would it make the series better than ever? The way I see it, there's merit to both sides of the debate. And in fact, I myself am not firmly in one camp or the other. Real-time combat does indeed feel like a direction I could see a series like this going. On the one hand, failing to change for 25 whole years might suggest that they have no intention of ever changing that much. On the other, going so long without changing makes me feel like, in theory, by now it might be easier for us to accept something new. You ask me, Pokemon combat feels exceptionally stale. So I'm very much open to the idea of just shelving it. If they had spent
I haven't
all
gotten
this
tired of
time
Pokemon in like
regularly
years.
developing their turn-based gameplay
20
formula
years
and
of this
added
shit, bro.
strategic new elements to it, then I might say, alright, fine, that's just what Pokemon is. You can't throw all that away in favor of an entirely new combat system, but the universe we live in, where pre-Arceus Pokemon is the way pre-Arceus Pokemon has been for 25 years, I pick an attack out of 4, and that's it. It's your turn to pick an attack out of 4. I don't personally think I would be sad to see such a system go. There are so many turn-based RPGs out there that make Pokemon look absolutely infantile. What would we really be losing? Though, to turn it back around...
I mean, you'd be losing one of the most successful turn-based RPGs in the fucking world. Literally the most successful media brand ever in history. Not sure when that's when something's gonna eclipse it. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But at the moment, Pokemon's going full speed ahead. Has eclipsed Star Wars. Is bigger, huge. And it's because of the turn-based combat. It's because of the gameplay. It's because they found a formula that works. Right? Completely changing that to satisfy like a bunch of whiners is completely ridiculous. I am like 100% on team turn-based. Like there is no debate. Like there is no reason to get rid of the turn-based combat. And what's more, Arlo has done nothing to convince me otherwise. That there should be a reason. That there should be like we should consider this. That they could do something different. No, like if they want to do something different, they'll do what they've done for the past 25 years and just produce a spin-off. You're showing an awful lot of Pokken footage, Arlo. It's almost like not every Pokemon game is turn-based already. But
as an RPG? Or do they prove that Pokemon has a ton of potential as an RPG, and that it would be silly to squander that potential simply because it's gone a long time without being realized? I actually really like turn-based combat when it's done well and offers a lot of strategic options. Should I wish for Pokemon to just throw out the whole idea and focus on action? Or should I simply wish for a better version of what we've had all this time? This is what I'm talking about. It's complicated. Turn-based combat itself is kind of a weird thing, because in my eyes, it feels like it was initially created so that people can enjoy combat in games even when playing on very underpowered systems with simpler software. There was a time when people made turn-based RPGs simply because that was all they could manage while still offering the level of role-playing depth they wanted. They couldn't make big, complicated action games, so they represented actions with text and gave multiple options to select in any given scenario. There's no doubt that this was why Pokemon started as a turn-based RPG. There wasn't really another way to do it on the Game Boy. In that sense, someone might describe...
What is this? What is this idea that a lot of these people have that turn-based combat is simplistic and like is just a result of the hardware? People like turn-based RPGs. I don't understand what's so complicated about this. Like, they made the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, made the game they wanted to make. If they wanted to make something else, it would have become something else over the past 25 years.
Describe turn-based combat as something antiquated, something that's just not necessary
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Hardware is stronger and action games are easier to make. If you had asked me my stance on this debate when I was a kid, in my prime Pokemon playing years, there's no question which side I would be on. I thought the gameplay was plenty fun, but to me, the main fun of Pokemon was the Pokemon themselves. It was the immersion, the variety, the sense of choice, the idea of choosing all my favorite monsters and raising them myself, building up a mighty team of awesome fighters who were also my friends.
What was that
and helped me
champion
take
team?
down
What?
a mob and ate pizza with me and let me pet them, in my imagination. The gameplay was secondary, a means to an end in a sense.
So what he's saying is that he was never a fan. He was never a serious fan of this franchise. Oh man, I love turn-based combat, guys, but Pokemon's turn-based combat sucks. It's stale. It's old. It needs to become more modern.
5 years in the future,
he was never a fan.
I'm sure I would
never
imagine these big, exciting fights where Pokemon were attacking each other in real time. Without the limitations of the Game Boy hardware, nothing could stop Pokemon from being as big and exciting as it was in my dreams. There are probably a lot of people who feel or would have felt the same way, especially when looking at the young and casual audiences. Pokemon as a concept is just cool. You could probably change the gameplay entirely and still get a tremendous number of those people to show up. Because that's just Pokemon. Pokemon? Is that the one with the Pikachu? Oh, my friends are playing it. I want to play it. I don't care what it's like. Today, my desires aren't quite so simple, and I'm at least slightly more tuned in to the concept of game design. But while I no longer necessarily see real-time mainline Pokemon as an inevitability born of modern hardware, I still spend quite a lot of time trying to imagine it. The idea fascinates me. Selecting attacks in real time.
Yeah, this video is too long, too boring, and not really getting to a point. All that's really happened is that I am really excited to go back, to go and play Legends Arceus, and really get to experience that turn-based combat for myself, because I am a real Pokemon fan. A real Pokemon fan, not a poser like Arlo. I don't make 20-minute long videos like speculating on like, man, maybe they could make Pokemon cooler if they made it more action-packed and got rid of that pesky turn-based combat. No, that's ridiculous. That's not what Pokemon is. Okay, I don't understand how someone who's so adamant about Paper Mario returning to its roots would be even consider making this video. It is shallow. It has no purpose. It has no direction. He failed to make even the slightest adequate point.